Good evening. I am Dr Hans Zarkov, formerly of NASA. And I stand here today as leader of the World Peace Organization, and it gives me great pride to tell you that gives me great pride to tell you that
Today's programme is from Spectrum Supergames by Richard G. Hurley, although the programme I believe is written by David Virgo. Fantastic Journey. News has reached you that Dr Hans Zarkov, founder of the World Peace Organization, has been rushed to hospital with a suspected brain tumour. A few hours later, this diagnosis is confirmed, and the doctor in charge of the case announces that, due to the position of the growth and the condition of the patient, major surgery is impossible. The only chance of survival for Dr Zarkov rests in the hands of the ultra-sub-miniature research team. As the captain of the vessel SS Nautilus, it is your responsibility to pilot your craft from the patient's leg through his bloodstream to the brain, so that your first officer can use the onboard laser to dissipate the cancerous growth. At first, the job seems perfectly routine, the reducing process works well, and you are injected into the leg without any problems. However, only minutes after your journey commences, you realise that you are going to have oxygen and fuel problems, and that your only hope of survival and a successful mission is to collect supplies from the various vital organs encountered during your fantastic journey through the human body. So it's basically Fantastic Voyage with a different name. Large numbers of data in the programme. It says it uses high-resolution perspective graphics, which we shall see, and uses very little of the user-defined graphics. Those are defined in line 1030, and in the code are represented by small letters. If you see small letters in the text, it's a user-defined graphic. The other area is the entry of where care is necessary, is the entering of the section relating to the map, which is an array, a huge array. All of the lines consist of 26 characters. You have to count the number of spaces. So now we set it up. This also involves setting up a new font by copying the Spectrum font and then changing it a little bit. Press I for instructions. Again, famous Dr Hans Zarkov has contracted a brain tumour. Our mission is to seek out this tumour and destroy it. Or we shrank down in size, injected into the body. Our submarine is equipped with a neurone laser capable of destroying the tumour, but it will only work when it's over 90% efficient. We also have to work from a time limit, after which we'll be excreted from the body. Good luck. Hit any key to continue. We will encounter many dangers. To control our craft, 5 rotates left, 8 rotates right, 6 rotates 180 degrees, 7 moves forwards, so it's the cursor keys. The left of the screen is a map, but it's more complicated than that. So we start off in the left femoral vein, but suddenly we're now in the right femoral artery. We see our time left, our percentage, our subcondition, and moving through the body. See here, we can go straight forward in a little corridor, which basically represents we're currently in the right femoral artery. Food left is slowly declining. Because we're in an artery, there's plenty of oxygen in the blood, so we don't need to use any oxygen, which is nice. So moving through this artery, everything tickety-boo. You see on the left, we've been attacked by leukocytes and we've been damaged. Our subcondition drops to 89%. We're now in the renal artery, which appears to be in his leg for some reason. Now the left leg vein, attacked by leukocytes, again we've been damaged. Not so good. So neurone laser is 100%. Attacked by leukocytes again, we're down to 66%. But plenty of oxygen, although we're now in the a vein, so we should be losing oxygen. But we're not. So time left is dropping, so is food. We're moving through the leg. Go around a corner. The twisty world of arteries is just like being in the film with Raquel Welch and Donald Pleasance. Donald Pleasance in a wetsuit. So around this corner, The graphics are effective. You can't see very far, but then you're inside the body. It's a shame it's not that bit isn't red, because you know for the bloodstream. But what can you do? Into the aorta. Can we proceed up the? Unfortunately, we can't proceed up the aorta because the pressure is too high. So we have to go a different way. And now we're going to head down into the mesenteric artery. Let's progress. Up the mesenteric artery, into the superior vena cava, which doesn't make any sense. But now in the hepatic portal vein, sugar level high, take on stools. So yes, we've topped up our food from the sugar in the bloodstream, which is nice. Up we go. Now in the liver. This is all tickety-boo. Proceed out of the liver. Now into also in the hepatic portal vein, which isn't quite right either. Shouldn't have veins on both sides of the organ. Pushing forwards, and enter the kidneys, and we've been expelled from the body. Game over. Not so good. Heading forward into the right femoral artery. Now in the carotid artery, which is in the neck, so he has rather strange anatomy, Dr. Zarkov. Perhaps he's an alien. So down the carotid artery in the neck, which isn't in the neck, from his leg, proceeding along the carotid artery, because it's an artery, we're not losing oxygen, which is nice. There's a little corner, go around to the right, let's go forward, and we're now crushed by a valve in the inferior vena cava. Game over. Proceeding along the carotid artery into the inferior vena cava. Now we turn the corner and progress up here. Inferior vena cava is the vein bit in the lower half of the body. So proceed up here. Up we go. It's a very long corridor. And we've been crushed by a valve. Trying again. 5 and crushed by a valve. Every time you make a move, you have a 10% chance of dying. 7, crushed by a valve, game over. And we're in, and turn is 2 moves, crushed by a valve, game over. 11, crushed by a valve, game over. 12, furthest we've got, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 is a junction, turn to the right, 19, 20, 21, junction to the left, 22, 23, we're down the superior vena cava, junction, crushed by a valve, game over. 15, 16, 17, 18, first junction, turn to the right, 19, 20, 21, second junction, turn to the left, 23, you're in the superior vena cava now, and we're now being crushed by a valve, game over. 21, turn left, 22, 23, 24, superior vena cava, 25, the junction, furthest we've got, 26, 27, 28, turn left, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and crushed by a valve, game over at the exit. That was the exit to the jugular vein. However, even if we made it there, we wouldn't be able to win the game. I'm going to show you how. So all tickety-boo, heading up the jugular vein into the brain eventually. Then we turn left. Proceed into the skull, up the neck. We all know where the jugular is. It's in the neck. Up we go. Round the corner. And let's proceed forward. Jugular vein. Inferior vena cava, which is the lower half of the body for some reason that's in his head. Maybe that's why he's collapsed. Someone's stolen his brain. Then the carotid artery. Dr. Zarkov has no brain. The game is unwinnable. The list of organs based on the array. A is for aorta, that's fine. B is the inferior vena cava. C is the carotid artery and the right femoral vein. F is the left femoral artery. H is the hepatic portal vein and the hepatic artery. I is the left leg vein. J is the jugular vein. K is the kidney. L is the liver. M is the mesenteric artery. R is the renal artery and the heart. S is the superior vena cava and the stomach. V is the right femoral artery, and there is no mention of the left femoral vein. So this is the cumulative chances of survival getting up to the jugular vein, up the inferior and superior vena cava. Remember, each move you have a 10% chance of dying. So these compounds. After 6 moves, you're down to 53%. Move 18 is the junction, the first junction we get to. To get that far, less than 15%. The chances of getting to the end, the actual jugular vein, for each game, 2.5%. So let's make the game better. I've written some code at the end of the program which will actually display the content of the array. So the top line is JJJ, B, C, C, C. That's where the brain should be, C being the carotid artery. You can see on the left hand side a square of S's, which is the superior vena cava. In the middle is a load of B's. Near the B's is the R, which is meant to be the heart. Towards the right hand side you've got a row of A's, that's the aorta. Then you've got the H's going to the L, which is the hepatic liver, hepatic artery, liver and hepatic portal vein. Above those is the kidneys with the renal arteries. Below that you've got the stomach on the bottom line. So you can't fit all of it on the page. So B is for brain, which makes no sense. Well, it actually does make sense. Unfortunately, B is also for inferior vena cava. This is the lower half of the body. The flashing square is where we start, in the left femoral vein, which the code has as the right femoral artery, which isn't really quite right. And then you can see in the leg you've got the R for renal vein. As those are the V's going to R, and then the I is lower leg vein. And the column of B's on the left is the inferior vena cava, where we constantly kept dying. So first thing is we're going to make it so that B isn't always the inferior vena cava. So the idea is the inferior vena cava is in the lower half of the body. Therefore, the code here is if it's not B, then go to 8050. And I'm trying to do something clever. And then if it's not, so if R is greater than 52, so there are 2 problems with this line. First of all, it should be less than 52. Secondly, that statement will never ever be executed. Because the way if statements work is if the statement is true, we do all the statements in the line, but if it's a go-to, we skip on with it. If it's false, then you skip to the next line completely. I then go through and make the same mistake on every single part of the body. This is the bit where V is the right femoral artery. We're now changing it to W, which does not show up in the game at all, but to make things easier, just gets it out of the way. I'll then go and add a section for V next to the jugular vein, because the left femoral vein is a vein. So let's adjust this slightly. So the idea is if it's not J, then skip to the next bit, and 7075 will be where we do our check for the left femoral vein. AL is oxygen left. I don't know why they chose AL for oxygen, not O for oxygen, or OL for oxygen left, but there you go. So whenever you're in a vein, you lose 1 or 2 oxygen and 1 food. Or is it fuel? Because in the opening text of the game it says fuel, but in the game it's food. It could well be both, really. Maybe your little submarine runs on sugar. What we're doing here is adding a new entry for the knee, because it's halfway down the leg. We've got a renal artery, that makes no sense. This will make it a knee. Knees have veins. I did look at lots of veins and I got bored. So I decided that G, which is French for short for genou, French for knee, is now going to be the knee vein. And again, as it's a vein, you lose a bit of oxygen and a bit of fuel. Nice and simple. This is the only time, this is the inserting of a new letter. I'll try to keep the map as similar as it could do. And now I add the letter G in the middle of the leg. So no longer will we have a renal artery between the thighs. So R is the renal artery, but also can be the heart. So here what I'm doing very carefully is saying, look, if you're in one of these three specific locations, it's going to be the heart, therefore skip on. Obviously the problem is this line will never ever be executed, because if it's true we go to 70-30. If it's false, so if it is R, we don't execute the second part of the line. If it's not R, then we go to 70-30. I do fix this eventually. Going into the heart originally is the only way to restore your oxygen, but at a great risk of. So now let's fix the problem where the inferior vena cava gives you a death march. So instead of a 10% chance of dying, we're going to have 10% chance of being crushed by a valve, and then you get damaged. It seems much more reasonable. Because it's a very long area you go through. So SC is the subcondition. So we're saying, what I was trying to do here is have it being reduced by a random number. Unfortunately, I missed out a keyword. So what I was trying to do is, it's going to reduce to between 15 and 1. In fact, I said it's reduced by 16 every single time. I do eventually fix this. Yes, it takes me a few goes to work it out. So that should be int R&D times 15 plus 1, not 15 plus 1, which is 16. I do the same thing for the superior vena cava. And make the same mistake. What I'm now doing is adding code to determine whether or not you've destroyed the tumour. Because I thought, wouldn't it be nice if after destroying the tumour in the brain, you then have to escape normally, rather than just growing to massive size inside the doctor's body. So I'm creating a new variable, which I'm calling tumour, taking it to 1 being the tumour exists. What we're now going to do is when we move into the brain, which is line 80-50, I'm now going to move the line down one slightly. We're going to say if the tumour is not there, as in you've destroyed it, then you just carry on. You can't destroy the tumour twice, because that would be silly. It doesn't grow back, thankfully. But obviously, after having destroyed the tumour, we have to actually set the variable to say the tumour has been destroyed. So here we say tumour destroyed, well done. Rather than now quitting, we're going to say you need to escape. So line 7011 is that you've entered the kidneys, which means you lose. However, if you enter the kidneys and you've destroyed the tumour, then now you win. So I have to handle this in the kidneys. So we're going to use this new tumour variable, which I get a bit confused about what the two states mean. So tumour equals 1, that means you've not destroyed the tumour, but you've entered the kidneys. That's not a good thing. And now 7011, because if the tumour's been destroyed though, you get to win. We like winning. All the difference is, rather than saying game over, we say congratulations or something, and give you a nice score, and don't have the end screen message. Also did some extra testing, also added in a delay as well, but you'll see that in the game which we're about to play. So I've made various changes. We can see here I fixed the location. We now start in the left femoral vein, and it stays that way. Oxygen is depleting as we go along. So we're taking a different route than before. We're going to try, because I tried to go via the inferior vena cava. If you do it that way, I fixed the issue where you instantly die, but you still run out of oxygen. So this way we're going via the stomach, right to arrive in the stomach, through the mesenteric artery first. First of all, we're going to go up here, into the stomach, a little bit of acid attack. It's not too bad, because you need to make sure you don't run out of oxygen or run out of food. So we're now in the hepatic portal vein, so we can now top up our sugar levels, so that to 100. Oxygen is now dropping to 50. So moving up into the liver, and that's all fine. Oxygen is now dropping Beyond the liver, we're into the hepatic artery, where we start getting attacked by leukocytes. And we get quite a few of these attacking us. And note our subcondition. Oh, I've got the wrong turn. No, don't go into the kidneys, thank you. So this bit is unchanged, apart from it used to say hepatic portal vein. So now it correctly identifies it as the hepatic artery, because the artery will then lead us into the aorta. But it's a fair old way. Let's go round the corner. Plenty of time. Things you're going to run out of are oxygen and food. You top up food in the hepatic portal vein or the liver. Now in the aorta, I changed it so that the aorta would also top up your oxygen. It says oxygen level high, but didn't actually increase your oxygen. Otherwise you can only update oxygen by going through the heart. So this is the inferior vena cava, as before, the letter B. I've changed it so that when you hit the event, rather than instantly dying, you just get damaged between 1 and 15. The earlier versions I forgot to put random in, so it gave you 16 damage, which was deadly. So already at 31%, I'm now proceeding into the superior vena cava, which is nice. So moving on, we're now at 31%. Food is getting low. So moving up through the superior vena cava, and now into the jugular vein. Food is now becoming critical. Around we go to the left. Most of the changes weren't too hard to do. It's just working out how the if statements worked. And now we get to the brain. Now normally this would be winning the game. I've changed it so you now have to escape as well. But in the interest of fairness, and also because it's impossible otherwise, I top up your food once you destroy the tumour. Perhaps you're eating the tumour, maybe, or something. So now heading down the carotid artery, because you still have to cope with leukocytes and oxygen. So now we must escape, as written on the screen. Technically that's a bug, but hey, it's what we got. Back in the aorta, which now tops up oxygen to the maximum level. Down the aorta, you can't go back up the aorta, the pressure's too high. We take a left, back along the hepatic artery, attacked by leukocytes again, not so good, 25% subcondition. That can kill you even at the moment of your victory. So moving along the hepatic artery, take a corner, pushing forward, again leukocytes, between 1 and 10 they can do damage, they do 7, not too bad. Renal artery, and then into the kidneys. We've been excreted from the body with a score of 1498. Hurrah! Dr Zarkov is saved.